Over the coins as tender.
Yeah.
Obviously it is legal tender, you are correct.
Yeah.
But as Sainsbury's, we aren't obliged to take that because we aren't able to bank that here. So unfortunately we will have to ask for some other means of payment to purchase that fuel.
What do you think legal tender actually means?
Pardon?
What do you think legal tender means?
I'm not into a debate about that. We're not accepting that as a tender here. It's a private company.
So you accept it as legal tender?
Yeah, but we can't bank that here. We don't have the means to bank it, so we don't accept it.
That's not my problem if you can't bank it, is it?
Well, yeah, but we don't accept it.
Well, you already have.
No, we haven't. You just put it down.
No, I gave it to the lady and she put it in her hand.
So, have you got any other means of payment?
That is my means of payment.
So, have you not got any other means?
But that is my means of payment.
Well, and we kind of...
Brett points out an important moment in this encounter, when the store worker actually takes the coins into her hand. At that exact point, the payment was made and the debt was settled. Stores are allowed to set their own payment policies before a purchase, but that wasn't the case here. The fuel had already been put into the car, so a debt existed. Once that happens, legal tender must be accepted. You can't take lawful payment, then refuse to recognize it because it's inconvenient. That's where Sainsbury's staff and later the police officer went wrong. They confused what was easy for them with what was required by law. When the officer arrived, she simply repeated what stores...
Got another means of payment, or do we just need to process it as a civil recovery issue?
Well, I've paid.
Well, you haven't, we haven't accepted it.
You don't need to. Well, you have accepted it.
We haven't.
Well, I haven't got the money, have I? You've got the money.
Well, we can give it back to you.
Well, I don't want it back. Are you a police officer?
Yes.
Right, can you identify yourself, please? What number are you?
1866, Bridgewater Police Station.
Mrs. Bradshaw, Miss Bradshaw.
That's correct. Miss.
Hi, Miss.
Hi.
Right.
So they've asked for another form of payment because
Yeah.
they can't accept this form. Have you got another form of payment on you?
That is my payment.
Right, okay, but that's not tender that they can accept.
Yes, it is.
They're asking for another form
Yes,
of
it
payment.
is. Let me explain something to you. When you was training to be a police officer at the beginning, yeah, you swore an oath, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember what the first sentence of the oath was? It was to serve the Queen faithfully.
Correct.
Right. Now those coins are legal tender by royal proclamation of the Queen herself.
Okay.
Right. She's authorised within the legislation for the Royal Mint to create those coins, and when she proclaimed them to be legal tender, she said that they are legal tender for payment throughout. They've allowed me to take goods, and they've allowed me to take goods, and then pay after the event. Yep. When the fuel goes into my vehicle, it becomes my fuel, but then it becomes a debt. Okay, now the whole point of legal tender is that you can use it to pay a debt. As the Queen said, it's for payment throughout the United Kingdom. Okay. So they don't have to accept it, and if they was to give it back to me, it would negate the debt. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's not a police matter; it's a civil dispute. So really, you know, I mean, really, you should be telling them that it's a civil dispute.
I've just spoken to them and said about the document whereby you can come back and pay within 24 hours. They're saying that they don't want to accept the tender that you've given them. Is there an alternative method?
I'm not going to pay in any other way. I've already paid. Okay, and regarding that document, it's called a no means to pay document, isn't it? Right, I'm not filling out a no means to pay document when I have got the means to pay and I've paid. It's almost like an acceptance that I haven't got the means to pay when I have.
Staff told her, as though company policy outweighed national law. Brett calmly reminded her of the oath every officer takes to serve the Crown faithfully. The coins he used weren't ordinary tokens. They were officially declared legal tender under the Coinage Act 1971. It's the Royal Mint, representing the Crown, that decides what counts as legal tender in the UK. Brett wasn't arguing opinion. He was quoting the very law that officers promised to uphold. That comparison made the situation crystal clear. The officer was standing against the same authority. She had sworn to serve. The officer then tried to hand Brett a no mean...
May I take your name, please?
No. Oh, yes you will, because I'm driving.
Sorry?
Yes you can, because I'm driving. Sorry. There you go. Although technically parked up on private land. I'll be going soon, as soon as I've finished dealing with it.
Is that the money?
No, I don't want that. If you give it back, then it goes to debt. Did you see that, officer? Officer,
Yes,
I've paid and she's thrown the money back in.
They've asked for another form of
No,
payment.
she's thrown the money back in. Do you understand? Can you explain to them that that negates the debt? You can't pay someone and then they just throw the money back at you.
Do the paperwork.
Do you want to remind them of that?
Yeah, so that's the details of the transaction, sir, okay?
Ma'am, can you show it to me? I paid it though.
Yeah, but it's unacceptable tender.
Officer, did you witness them give me the coins back, didn't you? And when I have paid, yeah?
I've witnessed them give you the coins back. I've also witnessed them say that it's unacceptable tender. They're not willing to accept it. Therefore, they've asked for another form of payment. You haven't provided it, so that's hence why they're giving.
Give these coins back to her, or can you keep them as evidence?
I'm not giving the coins back.
Well, you do realise it negates the debt anyway.
They haven't accepted
Well, I don't want that either, and that's nothing to do with me. I would like a receipt though, please.
You've been
I
served.
can't give you a receipt. The transaction's still outstanding, I'm afraid.
Do they have to give me a receipt for VAT purposes?
You haven't paid
I have
because
paid.
they haven't accepted the tender.
I have paid. They had it in their hand. They threw it back in the car.
Okay, but they
you
haven't
witnessed they
accepted,
threw it
they
back
haven't
in.
accepted the tender, so therefore there isn't a
So
payment.
it's for, as I said to you earlier, the Queen said
I
that these.
understand what you're saying,
Yeah.
and you've obviously done your research.
Yeah.
What they're saying is it's not acceptable form of tender. They're not accepting it, therefore the debt hasn't been paid.
But you're an
hence
officer of the
why-
law, aren't you? You're a sergeant or just a PC?
PC. Hence
Yeah.
why they've given you this, because they want you to pay in another acceptable form of tender.
So what do you think? If they said that they didn't want to accept a £50 note and threw the £50 notes back in, yeah, and then gave me that, would you think that's reasonable?
Well, you
To pay form, something fuel stations use when a customer genuinely has no way to pay, like forgetting a wallet or having a card decline. But Brett clearly did have a way to pay, with legal tender coins. Forcing him to fill out that form was an attempt to rewrite what had happened and act as if no payment had been made. It was a civil matter, not a case of non-payment. When the officer asked for Brett's name while he sat in his car, he was legally required to give it under the Road Traffic Act 1988. Drivers must provide their name and address when asked by an officer in uniform. Brett complied, but what happened next raised...
I had 50s and £20 notes, okay, and I went in there to pay them, and they said, "Oh, sorry, we don't accept those," right? Yeah, but even though this is theoretical, yeah, we don't accept those. And I say, "Well, I've paid, and I've left the money on the counter," and they came and threw them back in the car. Would you still be saying that it's up to me to pay in some other way?
But they just said that's an acceptable form of tender.
Yeah, but it's not down to them as to whether it's acceptable or not. It's down to the state.
They don't seem that acceptable.
It's down to the state. It's not for them to
right.
choose.
Well, they've served you with this. They haven't accepted payment.
I don't want that. That's nothing to do with me.
Right, okay, well, you've seen it. She's showing you it.
Yep.
Okay?
I don't know what it is. I don't even know what it is. What is it?
It's
I haven't
because
signed any. What is it? No means to pay form or something like that? How did they get my details? Did you give them my details?
Because you've given me your details.
Right, that's against the law. It's a breach of my personal data. You should not have
You
done
haven't
that.
paid.
You have not. You should not
haven't
have done
paid.
that.
You haven't paid.
You know that. You should not have done that.
You haven't...
About this.
Okay,
You know
are
you're going to be in
accepting-
trouble for
are
that, don't you?
accepting the
No.
details? You're not.
You know that you're going to be in trouble for that, don't you? Because you're not allowed to give them my personal details. Breach of my data. Police giving private corporation my details. They threw the money back in the car. We'll be lodging a complaint with 101, I think, straight away.
serious concerns. Just moments later, a store employee appeared with a completed no means to pay form already containing Brett's personal details, even though he hadn't agreed to fill it out. The question was obvious. How did they get his information? Brett quickly noticed that his data had been passed from the officer to the store. The officer admitted she had shared it because he'd already given it to her. That's a serious misuse of personal data. Police information collected under the Road Traffic Act can only be used for policing purposes, not handed to private companies during a civil disagreement. Officers are supposed to protect that data, not share it. Yet instead of addressing this mistake, the officer repeated that Brett hadn't paid, ignoring the real issue, that he had offered lawful payment which had been refused. In his follow-up, Brett explained how his complaint was handled. The police concluded that the officer had done nothing wrong, effectively backing a decision that allowed a company to refuse legal tender and use police powers to get a customer's private details. That's not protecting the public. That's siding with corporate convenience over the law. Brett rightly pointed out that this created a false situation. By using his personal data, the company could complete a form as if he'd agreed to it, even though he hadn't. While Brett's lawyer confirmed he had a valid legal case, it wasn't worth taking to court. Even so, the outcome spoke volumes. The officer's supervisor admitted she would receive retraining, a quiet acknowledgement that mistakes were made. When an officer has to be retrained after a single encounter, it shows that the citizen understood the law better than the people enforcing it. This whole situation turned a simple fuel payment into a public lesson on how easily confusion can turn into overreach. Brett remained calm and factual throughout, explaining his rights and sticking to the law. His example about the $50 note made the logic obvious. If a store refuses legal tender after goods are supplied, that's not the customer's failure. Yet the officer still sided with policy over principle, letting a routine transaction escalate unnecessarily. In the end, Brett walked away with more than just resolution. He educated thousands of people watching. His calm, informed approach showed how knowing your rights makes all the difference. The takeaway is simple. Understand the law, stay respectful but firm, and never let someone convince you that convenience overrides your legal rights. That's it for today's video. If you found this breakdown helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It really supports independent reporting. Thanks for watching. This was Ake Lawcam, and we'll see you in the next episode.